here's where we are. First of all, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly is happening. I gotta head over to my live streaming and see what exactly is going on. So if you are here, that's fantastic. Unfortunately, I can't see you just yet. If you are here, say hi, drop a note in the chat. I'm trying to actually figure out how I do this. It's been a while. Wait, I found it. I found it. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, first things first. I am not at home, and I do not have. There we go. Now I got it. View on watch page. Is that it? I think I might have it, guys. I think I might have it. Except that it doesn't want to go there. There we go. There we go. Okay. Hey guys. Sorry. It's been a while since I've been live. So we are at, right now, here's what's happening. Okay, so I am at this place in my neighborhood called Stanley Marketplace. This is it used to be Stanley Aviation, and Stanley Aviation, they built, they would build airplanes and airplane parts, test aircraft, and things like that. So when this neighborhood used to be an airport, this was perfect. Well, they closed this factory down, right? And what's happening is that they took this whole area and they made it a mall, like an inside mall for small businesses, which is really, really cool. But I've been here now for a couple of hours and trying to get some work done and trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to live stream. Basically, that's what I've been doing the last 2 hours, is trying to figure out how I'm going to live stream from Stanley Marketplace. So if you're here, I need to know, A, if you can hear me and if you can see me. I'm going to assume that no news is bad news. So say hi in the chat. Give me a thumbs up, anything like that. Let me know that you can see and or hear me. So I'm going to wait for a few people to kind of come in and chime in here. The reason why I'm here at Stanley Marketplace is because my husband works from home, which is fantastic. Thanks, Chuck. I'm glad everything's all good. So my husband works from home. And it's great because we just kind of work around each other. But part of the problem with that is that if I want to shoot video or if I want to go live and he has phone calls, it becomes an issue. It becomes a, okay, well, when are you going to be on the phone? When are you going to be here and there and the other? It's fine. We usually can work around it. Today, I had promised you guys that I was going to be online at noon. And thank you, Jacob. We're good. So I'm like, oh yeah, I probably should have asked my husband if he has a phone call at noon, and sure enough, he does. So he has wall-to-wall calls today. So he's at home, and he's usually really, really good when I need to shoot video. He's usually very good about, he'll just pack up and go to the library or go into his office, but typically he works from home. So I thought, you know what, I'm not going to ask you to leave today. You can just hang out. Okay. So I think I've got it all figured out now. You guys can see me. You guys can hear me. Before I get into the Q&A, actually, if you guys do have any questions for me, being racist, if you're doing a princess half marathon at Run Disney in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, let me know if you guys have questions. And drop those in the comments and I will get there. I know that I'm seeing a little bit of streaming issues, but hopefully it'll resolve itself as we go. Drop your questions in the comments and I will definitely get to them. I do want to talk a little bit more about a couple of things that have come up in the last week through my videos. The first one is about the hills. Chris, I am forgetting your last name off the top of my head, but Chris, you gave a lot of information, kind of elaborating on the hills and training for a downhill race. It seems like it would be harder to train for an uphill race. I have the Ogden Half Marathon coming up. That's a net downhill. I believe the net downhill is about 500 feet overall. So that's 500 feet over a half marathon. The Slacker Half Marathon is a 2,000 foot drop from Loveland Ski Area down to Georgetown. So it is a much more dramatic elevation loss over the course of the half marathon. So how do you train for that? If you were training for an uphill race, you would be running up hills. I mean, we know that running uphill is hard, right? Running downhill, it seems like it would be easier, but it's actually not so much because, hi Katie, how are you? Running downhill, because you have to keep the brakes on, and with every step, you're actually trying to control what is basically a very long fall. You're falling down the hill, and you're trying to keep yourself under control speed-wise. So how do you train for that? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of leg work. And Chris, if you go back into the comments from that video, it would have been Saturday or Sunday, about training for hills. Chris talks about some of the places around here in Colorado that you can train. But really, I know myself too well to train on trails. Okay, I have made the mistake more than one occasion where I'm just running and I'm trucking up the hill, and then I turn around and I'm running all out, all down the hill, and then the next day I can't walk. And it's not because I was running uphill so hard, but it's because I was running downhill so hard. And if you've ever run downhill for a long period of time, you feel it. You start to feel it in your quads, and you start to feel it, and then the next day you definitely feel it, and you can't walk. So, how I'm training for this right now, I'm going to do a lot of leg strengthening. So, a lot of plyometrics. A lot of plyometrics would be jumps. And like split squats, like jumping split squats. I mentioned it the other day in my soreness video, the TRX cycle jumps. Those kick my rear end every single time. So those are going to help me get ready for these downhill races coming up. I shy away from them. Let me know in the comments if you guys have ever run a downhill race. How do you train for it? Hello, Nicole. If you guys have ever trained for a downhill race, let me know how you train for that. What are some of the specifics that you guys do to prepare yourself for downhill, almost exclusively downhill races, or at least net downhill races? So around here, I live, again, I mentioned it earlier, I live what used to be the old airport here. This is Stapleton neighborhood now, but back 20 years ago, this was an airport. So it's pretty flat. I mean, airports are kind of flat. So, but yes, I live not far from the mountains, probably a 20-minute drive from the foothills where you get a little bit more up and down hills. So that's great. But my day is so limited. It's funny because I don't get my run started until my son goes to school at 8. I then have, by the time I've showered and done everything else, it's already 10 o'clock. If I were to drive out to a trail to run up and down hills and then turn around and run back, it's noon or maybe even later by the time I'm actually getting anything else done. So taking the time out of my day to drive to a hill can be kind of a challenge. So I compensate for that by doing a lot of the leg strengthening. When we get closer to these races, I will definitely be doing more of that trail running up and down in the foothills and adding some of that as well. But that is really all I wanted to add about hills. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and ask those. I have a question. I'm going to probably massacre this name, Scarabi. That is all I can come up with. So I apologize if I messed that up. This person asks, in races with corrals, does the time before you begin count towards your time? This is going to affect proof of time for future races. Yes and no. Most of the time now, unless it is a very small race, and there are still a few of those out there, unless they offer you a timing tag or a timing chip or a bib with a timing chip on it. Yes, that is exactly how that's going to go. But those races, if they don't offer you an official proof of time option where your time starts when when you cross the timing mat, when you cross the starting mat, that time, those kinds of races don't really count. If you're talking about a Run Disney race, for example, where you need a proof of time, they want an official time recorded electronically from the official race organizer. So you should get a timing chip. If it's a race that offers you a timing chip, then your official time will not start until you cross the timing mat. Okay? And if that's not the case, then then Run Disney or anybody else who requires proof of time may not actually use that time as your proof of time for corral placement. Does any of that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm talking in circles. I'm a little ADD here. Katie, I'm going to get to that. Excellent question. So when it comes to submitting a proof of time for a race like Run Disney, before you even sign up for the race, find out if it's chipped. Find out if there is an official timer. Find out if there is an official way that they are keeping track of time. More often than not, they should have for you some website link to your results. And that's really what Run Disney and other race organizers are going to look for. They don't just want the time, because I can just plug in any old time from my watch and throw it in there. But unless you can offer a race official proof of time, they may not take that. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much for that. And then when it comes to submitting that proof of time, how long does that proof of time stand? It depends on the organizer. Run Disney, I think, will go as far back as 2 years. It depends on the race. I know for the Dobie Challenge, Walt Disney World Marathon Weekend, they go back 2 years. After that, they don't. So guys, I hope you can still hear me. It is getting a little loud in here. I'm sitting at a deli, and we've got such great food, but it's the only place that has decent Wi-Fi and a power plug. That's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. Okay, so Katie asks, what's the main difference between trail running and road running? My next 5K is a trail run. I've never run on a trail before, so I'm a little nervous. Katie, I will tell you, I did a half marathon unwittingly on trail. When I signed up for my first Another Mother Runner race retreat, it was a half marathon. I was really excited about this. What I did not do was find out what kind of terrain this was on. So that was a learning experience for me. Small race. It's up in Spokane, Washington. So you have the River Valley, right? So the race started up here and dropped down, and then it came back up again. So yes, the second half was all uphill, which was fantastic. The difference between trail and road depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, I consider basically anything road that a small golf cart, that a golf cart can easily navigate. Okay, so crushed gravel. To me, a trail is like that. It's like cycling single track in the mountains. Okay, so mountain biking. That's what I think of, and I know that's not everybody's definition of trail running. Anything that is not paved, some people would consider trail running. If you are talking a trail run in an urban setting, you're going to be seeing a little bit more just kind of that blurred line between a road race, which is concrete, or pavement, some kind of pavement, or even a crushed gravel type of road. If you're looking at that kind of trail, it's not going to be all that different. The only thing that you might consider is what kind of footing you're going to have. If it is trail in the way that I define trail, you're talking narrow, you're talking unsure footing, uneven footing. You are really paying attention to where every footfall goes. In a place like here in Denver, you can really find some gnarly trail, rocks and roots and things like that. So if you're talking that your next 5K is a trail run and you've never run on trail, I can't imagine. Katie, what's the name of the race? I might be able to help you out there if I search a little bit. But do a little research online. You know, ask around in the communities that are going to be participating in this race. Ask what the terrain is really like. If it was really tough, then, you know, it's Humble Creek 5K. Yeah, let me look that up. Let's see what we can find there. I would say, though, that if you're looking at a trail race that's a 5K, Blue Ridge Trail Runners Humble Creek Trail Race. Oh, I want to do that with you. I would expect, not actually knowing anything about this race, so please understand that I would expect sort of a blurred line between, oh, no, this is going to be nice for you. Oh, that'll be fun. Okay, so I'm looking at the Facebook page, the Humble Creek Trail Race. You're probably going to have some unsure footing, but nothing so narrow, especially for a 5K. I think this is going to be a fun trail for you. Yeah, this is from Run Santa Monica, rolling cross-country course with a mix of single track fields and gravel roads. You know, I think there might be some places that would surprise you, but not very many. Hi, Lindsay. So actually, a really fun race, Katie. Kind of excited about that for you. Hey, so let me know. I think the biggest thing for you is going to be when you do this race, really pay attention to your footing. I don't like to encourage people to wear headphones if they're used to wearing headphones. I would suggest not in this particular case because it is going to be a different experience for you and you want to kind of hear what's going on. Ask around, get into this, get into that Facebook group. And in fact, I will post that right there. Try that out and see what you come up with. Hopefully that'll work for you there, Katie. Hi, Anne. Hi, Meredith. It's nice to see you guys. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Jacob. Katie, I hope that helped out. I'm newer to distance running and just completed my first marathon in January. Congratulations, Jacob. Nicely done at 5:05. That's respectable, man. Nice job. I can't wait for the next one, but I want to improve my time. Any tips for improving marathon pace? Okay, so I would prioritize. You have the miles, right? So you just did the marathon. You know that your body is capable of doing that. Help me out here. What was your average pace for a 5:05 marathon? See, I even have a cheat sheet. Check me out. 5:05 marathon gave you about a 12:30 pace. Is that about right? If you are working on a 12:30 pace and want to go a little faster, give yourself some time. I would say however long it took you to train for your first marathon. Well, let me say it this way. If you're healthy and you haven't suffered from any injury, in the course of your marathon training, then you can kind of pick up where you left off. You are probably ready to pick up marathon training again. For me personally, I had the option to do a marathon in May rather than a half marathon. I talked to my coach and she said, yeah, May might be a little too soon for a marathon. Not to say that you couldn't do it. I am saying it was just a choice that I made. If you want to improve your time, spend some time, first of all, find a really good marathon training program that will help you increase your speed over that period of time. So one, we're going to work on speed, right? We're going to add longer intervals, okay, maybe a half mile to a mile, that you're going to be hitting that goal marathon pace. So if you were doing 12:30 miles and you want to go faster, you want to break 5 hours, maybe a 12-minute mile. So shoot for that, or an 11:30 mile, depending on how aggressive you want to go. You're going to do a little bit more speed training, but that's not going to be all of the work you do. So maybe 2 or 3 days a week, add some tempo. In fact, what did I do 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago? I started talking about how I'm training for speed. One of them is you can do strides at the end. That's just going to help your turnover. You can do some tempo runs, which are longer distances at your goal pace, and then you recover a little bit. I'm going to talk about this on my weekend update. I just did yesterday a tempo run, which was 5 miles. I warmed up for 2 miles. I did a mile and a half then at my goal half marathon pace, which for me is a pretty steady clip. It was a lot. It was a hard workout. So it was a mile and a half at my goal pace, and then I cooled down for a mile and a half. That's the kind of workout you can start adding in once a week, tops. So those are the kinds, that a tempo run, long intervals, but just keep that mileage up. Again, keep the long runs that you were doing the first time around. The only difference during those long runs is add those tempo miles in. So maybe you do, and I know nothing about you or your training, except that you did such an awesome job on your first marathon. Add a little bit of that tempo within your long runs as well. But I would strongly encourage you to find a good training plan. I'm trying to think if there are a couple of really good ones out there. Hal Higdon has some good ones. Hal Higdon Marathon. Gosh, I'm blanking on all of them now. I don't know if you're a run walker, Jacob, but that's another good way to go. If you do Jeff Galloway, his Magic Mile will help you get to that as well. So that's about, again, I could spend days talking about all of the variety of speed work. What else? Jacob, I hope that helped. If you're still here. Guys, if you are here, give me a thumbs up. Let me know. Say hello. If you guys have questions you want me to answer, please do drop those in the comments. And one more thing I wanted to mention. Oh, Katie, you also asked, and I answered this in my Tuesday video, difference between sore and tired and pre-injury versus full injury. I wanted to add, you bet, Jacob. I'm so glad. And I'm going to get to that. Shoes versus shoes and socks. What about socks? Yeah, socks are a conundrum for me. But I want to go back really fast, tell you a quick story about my personal injury story. And I actually had to cut it out of the video. Hi, Linda. I had to cut it out of the video on Tuesday because it was running a little long and I was struggling to get the video up in a timely fashion. So my personal injury story is that I was training for Boulder a couple of years ago, and I was running with someone, and she has a run walk method, and I was not used to that. I am a slow and steady wins the race. I don't speed up, slow down. I am a one pace wonder. So running with her, it was the first time I'd run with her. I was running faster when I was running than I was comfortable with. Then I had what was a strong finish at the end. Now, I didn't do my research on what that meant. Strong finish ended up really only being about 30 seconds faster than I was already running. I took it to mean a full-blown sprint for 10 minutes. It was not smart. The next day, I literally could not walk on my foot. Short story is that I thought it was a stress fracture. I was in tears. I was freaking out. And you guys know, you run and you start feeling this little niggling pain and you're like, oh my gosh, what if this, and you immediately go to the worst case scenario. You go to that place where I have a marathon in 6 weeks. I can't be hurt. I can't be hurt. So you are either in denial, right? Please raise your hand if you've done that. You're in denial, or you just go to that worst case scenario. So I didn't linger on stewing over that high step, stewing over that issue. I pretty much just went straight to the doctor as soon as I could get in. And the way that we figured out what it was, so your doctor's like gonna get his hands on, right? So he's massaging my foot, trying to really figure out what's going on in there. My first feeling is stress fracture. And I'm just sitting there squeezing my foot, and I'm like, okay, yeah, it hurts, but it's fine. Doctor looks at me. If it were a stress fracture, you'd be going through the roof. Okay, so good. It's a stress fracture, not a stress fracture. It ended up being a pulled muscle, strained muscle, so I really couldn't walk on it I couldn't run on it for 3 weeks. But I wanted to kind of share that story because it could have been a stress fracture. It could have been a strained muscle. Who knows? Like all of these other things. It could have been a plantar plate tear. Some of you guys know Laura over at Joy for Miles. She struggled with that. It could have been anything. I would strongly encourage you guys that and I see this a lot in my Facebook groups, and it's one of those things that makes me absolutely loony. When people say, hey, so I've got this pain in my foot, what do you think it could be? I don't know. I literally don't know. Please go to your doctor. That is the point I'm trying to make here, that I didn't know. I had suspected, and I was wrong. Okay? I could have self-diagnosed. I could have treated it differently. But I went to someone who knows. Do that. Okay? Just when in doubt, go to the doctor. Okay? And that's the point I was trying to make yesterday. It was one of those things I wanted to elaborate on. So if you guys have any further questions about that, then please let me know in the comments here. Anne asks, I know lots about shoes, but what about socks? Anne, could you be more specific? No, I'm kidding. So socks are just as individual as the shoes. I think if you find the right shoe, a good sock is kind of, you don't really have to spend a lot of time on socks unless you have some kind of, I don't know, unless you have some kind of annoyance about your feet. I have ridiculously high arches. I put my weight on my heels, and I have very broad forefoot. Okay. I have found that my favorite socks are the Roadrunner brand. There's not much to them. Very thin, not cotton. Okay. I love Belega socks personally as a brand, there's just something so comfortable about those that Belega socks are like, somebody called them warm hugs for your feet. I love Belega socks, but I don't wear them running. And the reason being, they're a little too soft. They're a little too fluffy. I want to be able to feel the road through my feet. Okay. So while I have an orthotic that I put inside my shoe, I have a neutral, stability style shoe, and all of these things that are kind of between me and the road. I don't want my sock to also get in the way. I also don't want my sock to allow my foot to move around too much within my shoe. Socks should wick away moisture. Okay, so they should keep your feet sort of dry. And they shouldn't be so tight that your feet, your toes are kind of smushed in there. I will tell you personally, I used to wear features all the time. What I do like about them is how they kind of wrap around the center of your foot. What I don't like about the feature socks is how tight the toe box is. So they're very uncomfortable in the forefoot. The socks I wear, I buy in 3 packs. Like I said, they're maybe $10 for a pair of 3, as opposed to a feature sock, which is $15 or $10 or whatever. Some people like toe socks to prevent blisters. My sister said they were better for her. I've never tried toe socks, and I think this is just a weird, kind of weird factor for me when it comes to having something over my toes. I don't know. My feet get warm anyway, and I look at like something like Injinji socks, and I don't know. It's not quite right for me. But I know people love them. If you guys like the Injinji type sock, with the individual toes, let me know what you think about them. I know nothing about them. I've never worn them. They just look weird to me. A lot of votes for Belega. Like I said, I love Belega socks, but I won't run in them. What I have started running in more frequently are my CEP compression socks, like all the time. Since marathon weekend, I've been recovering carefully, and so getting back into running, I made sure that I was wearing my compression socks a lot, and I prefer CEP. Now these are the ones that come up to your knees, right? I prefer CEP. They're just softer. They're a little bit more supple and flexible. And I don't care for, I have several pairs, but I don't care for pro compression. I like them, but they're a little too stiff for my taste. I also have tried the 2XU, and what I have found with 2XU is that they're so tight around the upper calf that for me, I just have naturally larger calves toward the top. So I prefer to call them muscular. That's all I'm going to say. But my favorite compression sock is going to be CEP. I don't wear the calf sleeves. That's the one thing I don't do. Copper fit socks. Ooh, Meredith, you wear copper fit socks. Some compression is nice. So tell me about copper fit. I'm not sure I know what that is. I have super tiny feet. This is from Steph. I have super tiny feet. Think Barbie size. Oh, cute. So features are the only ones I can wear because they're so small in my toe box. Okay, so all the normal footed people in our house. All the normal footed people in our house wear. I'm assuming those are Roadrunner sports socks. So Barbie size. So those are the ones I wear. Yeah, I wear the Roadrunner socks all the time. That was the thing too that I found with features is that the size I was wearing was too small, but then this next size up would be too big. So I couldn't find, like, I'm right in that middle. I have a 9.5. I wear a 9.5. Excuse me. I wear a size 10 shoe, but my foot size is 9.5. So I'm kind of in that weird space between small and large, medium and large. I call my calves cows. I've seen your videos, girl. That's not what they are. Copper Fit is on all the commercials about retired athletes. Okay, those are the ones I was thinking of. I didn't want to like assume that Brett Favre is the one that we're talking about. Okay, the socks are nice, cushy, but not too hot with vents and prevent blisters with some compression for recovery. Bonus, they are pretty inexpensive. Oh. That was the thing about the copper that I was wondering about. They're not as smelly. Nice. Okay, and so I hope that helped. There are other sock companies out there. Those are the big ones for running. And so Belega, they're super comfortable. I'm a medium at a 9.5. I mean, I have like 100 pairs of smalls, but they're still fine. That's another reason why I don't wear them. For running is that if I pull out my smalls, then I don't wear them for running. Mediums are good for me. Features are good if you have narrower feet. I think. Chime in if you guys have other experiences. Okay, I think if you guys have any further questions, please throw them at me in the comment section. I'm trying to think if there was something else I wanted to mention. Guys, so this has been really kind of funny. I'm a little ADD here, so you probably see I'm like looking around and there are people all over the place. This is kind of weird. I do love coming here. So my son's music school is like right that way. Okay, and I was really excited. Like they just moved here into this building. The music school just moved into this building like a couple of weeks ago. I was so excited. Hey, music school is going to be at Stanley Marketplace, so I have a much more fun place to hang out. Well, the problem is that I can't work here. I can't like actually get work done. There's too much going on. So there's a gymnastics school over here. There's the barber, and this is a deli, and you've got a bar and a bakery, and you've got a donut shop, gourmet donut shop. You've got sushi. You've got everything. Coffee shop. What else is fun? There's a Pilates studio up here. There's a kickboxing place over here. Okay, so there's just a lot going on. So I'm a little ADD right now. Okay. Any advice on what to do between training plans? My 10K plan ends the first week of April. My half marathon event doesn't start until July. Excellent question, Kitty, because this is something that I was trying to come up with something, and I'll probably do a full video on this, but I want to give you a little bit right now. Take a week or so after your 10K. Just don't worry about running. If you run, great, but run slow. Recover from that 10K. I'm going to assume at the moment that you have a strong goal for your 10K. If you don't, that's a different conversation. If you're using the 10K as a training run, just kind of an easy way to go, then you might not have to take as much time to recover, but take about a week to relax, do some foam rolling, do some stretching, and don't push your effort through that time. When you said it doesn't start till July, so you have 3 months, right? 3 months is a long time in there, I think. You could do one of two things. Actually, you can do several things. There are 1,000 different ways you can do this. If it were me, here's what I would do. I would find another 10K or an 8 or a 10 miler, okay, halfway between the two, okay? The reason being, it will give you an intermediate goal, or even if you're 10K, or if you're half marathon training plan. How long is your half marathon training plan, Katie? Let me know. Take that time to figure out what you want to get out of that half marathon. Okay, if your half marathon is to just, not just finish, but if it is to finish in the upright position, still smiling, theoretically, or if it's to speed, if it's to get some speed on. Either way, any of those things are fine. Think about, I love having time off because I can look back at what I just accomplished and say, okay, knowing what I know now, what will I do going forward? 12 weeks is still a long time in between, in between with, having that downtime. If you're like me, I'm sorry, first of all, but if you're like me, what is it? Idleness is the devil's playground. I will sit and I will watch TV. So I need a goal. I would need an intermediate. So that's why I would say, if it were me, I would say put myself in a 10 miler just to keep myself going out running. Okay. And Katie, I'm going to reach out to you via private messenger. I want to kind of work through that a little bit with you, maybe. Does that help, Katie? I don't know if I really helped there. Steph, how is your son's 10K training going? I think there's a huge delay, so I'll come back to you in a second, Katie. How's your son's 10K training going? The weather here has been gross, dumb, really dumb. So we've had, like, today it's sunny and beautiful, I think. Sunny and beautiful, but cold and windy. And getting out, just myself to run, has been hard. We've all been kind of fighting the crud, we're all just tired. My son is in this place like, isn't it spring break yet? I really looked at a training plan for him, and I didn't want to burn him out. I'll train for something for 6 months. But for his 10K, training that long for a 10-year-old is just going to be too long, right? So I'm not going to have him start really training for mileage until early to mid-March, probably closer to mid-March, because I don't want to burn him out. And we have dumb weather here. So when we have the opportunity, we walk to and from school. It's about 1.25 miles. So today was the first time we had the opportunity to do that in a long time. And since it's so nice, I might walk in home as well. So it's been kind of hit or miss, but I'm not really worried about it yet. I know he can do it even if he walked the whole thing. Because we've been all over Disney. I mean, the kid can navigate a Disney park like the best of them, so I'm not worried about that at all. The thing about the Boulder, which is the race he's going to be doing, is that it's a lot of uphill, and the start time for him will be almost 11 in the morning, and on Memorial Day, that can get pretty hot. So I'm more concerned about the time of the start and the hot during that day. So once the weather starts to warm up, we're really going to start training for that eventuality. Sounds like our daughter's 10K training. She has her first one next weekend at Princess. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so exciting. You guys are going to Princess. Okay, so show of hands. I want to see who's going to Princess, because I'm so jealous. I'm actually jealous. I really never wanted to do Princess, but now I'm kind of wanting to do Princess because the medals are so dang cool. It's all my favorite princesses. So it's Rapunzel, 5K, right? And then Merida. I could take or leave Snow White, and then Mulan. Mulan for the kids' races. Guys, that's not fair. Okay. Not Princess, but Star Wars. I got your link. I haven't had a chance to look at that, Maria. So sorry about that. I will get there. Yeah, and Meredith, I love what you said here. Donuts. I don't want to do donuts here. Okay, guys, I'm going to be here for another 15 minutes or so, unless you guys are doing Paris in September, and that's amazing. We actually had that on our list. We took it off our list because we're traveling so much this year. It's just going to be kind of a crazy spring. Somebody else said something that something stand out. So Katie, that was helpful for you. Anybody else? You guys got questions? Really good to hear. Okay, and that's Ginger Runner, I think. Yeah, I saw that. I would love. Yeah, I will. You should see my watch later list. It's just getting longer and longer and longer. Ridiculous. Okay, here's a good question for you guys. You die-hard, faithful group of wonderful people. How do I say this? Okay, hold on. Well, first of all, do you guys have any ideas for videos for me? It's so funny. I'm not finding inspiration right now. So, like Katie's question the other day about injury. Am I injured or am I just sore? That was huge. Like, it just opened the floodgates for that one video. And now I'm like, okay, now what do I talk about? It's seriously like, give me ideas. Because here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing, you guys. I'm going back into my Wayback Machine. Okay, I'm going back into the first 6 months of videos that I did, back in April, starting in April of 2016, just to see if there's something I missed or something that I can revisit. And if you want some cringe-worthy entertainment, seriously, go back to that first week, April 1st of 2016, that first week. That's cringe-worthy entertainment. You're like, oh my gosh, what was she thinking? Things have changed. Anyway, if you guys have ideas for me, drop them in the comments here. Drop them in the comments after this video is live. Drop them in the comments below. Send me a message. Guys, it's so funny because I thought back in August, I am never going to run out of things to talk about. And it's not that I've run out of things to talk about. I just know that I've said things enough. I'm looking for a different way to say them. Does that make sense? It was. I know. April 1st, it started. April 1st of 2016 was the first time I had done vlog every day. And I vlogged for 30 days in a row. And that's really where this whole crazy mess got started. So but I'm having to go back and figure out, okay, these are the things I talked about, but nobody was watching. It's kind of sad and pathetic, but I won't talk about that. Anyway, if you guys have ideas, please because I vlogged every day in August last year, and we did Vlogtober. I vlogged almost every day in December, and then in between that, I was putting up 3 videos a week. Gee, you wonder why I ran out of ideas. So help me out, please. If you guys are still here and haven't yet, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes, but then I'm going to sign off. Guys, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. What else can I say? What's coming up? What medical specialty did you visit with your injury? Very good question. When I first went, it was just a general practitioner. Just a general practitioner. I mean, it was a general practitioner, and she was great. I now have a sports physiologist, and the reason, I mean, for obvious reasons, I called. It's the same clinic, but I called them and I asked if there was a sports physiologist on their roster, and so he's been amazing with the most recent issues. And I wouldn't say that I'm injured or had been injured, but I was having hip trouble and calf trouble. And I went to Dr. Spittler, and he helped me out, figure out what was going on. And, oh, gee, you're a runner. You must have it was basically, oh, you have a tight IT band. Oh, you have tight calves. Well, yeah, it's like I was saying in the video the other day, it comes with the territory, right? When you don't address those things, they do tend to crop up and they become more of a problem. So this guy is also a runner. He's also a triathlete. So he knows, because he's felt them. He knows exactly what it feels like to be a runner. He knows all of the issues that come with being a runner. So that was, that's helpful for me to know. And I can ask him questions specific to the sport, right? I can say, well, what kind of foam rolling should I do? And the nice thing about a resource like that is that they also know what the latest studies are, what they're finding, and how to alleviate the issue without hurting yourself with it. Have you ever used rock tape or the like? Used KT tape on my knee, and I honestly don't know if it was beneficial or not, and I'll tell you why. It could have just been that I did some leg strengthening. I did some foam rolling. I think, and there's I know there's a lawsuit out there for KT tape that they are, maybe it's litigation, I don't really know, but there is an issue with KT tape that they're saying that it does what it doesn't really do, which is, I actually can't speak to that, what the litigation is really about, but basically it is inconclusive as to whether or not it actually works. Scientifically speaking, okay, that being said, have I found it to be helpful? I have, just from a comfort standpoint. I would tape my knee, and the first time I did it, I had the PT do it and showed me how to do it. And that's another thing I would do. If you tape wrong, you could actually do more harm than good. Again, if you're struggling with injury, go see a doc first and ask that question about KT or rock tape, kinesio tape. What they will probably do is refer you to a PT, a physical therapist, and that PT will help you with that information. Does that help, Maria? Miss Princess and Parish raised my hand, so here it is. Oh, thanks, Meredith. I just want to say thank you again. Oh, I don't know if I ever would have come back to it afterwards. You are so awesome, you guys. You guys are amazing. So I think that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much. And really appreciate you guys asking questions. All of the conversation that we're having. I think what I'm going to start doing here. Now, I went a little longer than I expected today, but mostly because I'm a little ADD. I want to do this every other week. What do you guys think? I think I want to do this every other Thursday. Instead of putting up a separate video on Thursdays, I want to do a Q&A. I want to just do this with you guys because this is just so dang fun. Probably won't be an hour every time. Half an hour maybe. And who knows if it will be here from live from Stanley Marketplace. Guys, this is seriously baby me hungry. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Okay, perfect. So I think I'm gonna come back and do this again in a couple weeks, and we'll see what we come up with. So in the meantime, I think I'm gonna sign off, guys. If you haven't yet, give me a thumbs up. Say hi to all of your folks at your end. Say hi to the people if you guys are headed to Princess. Meredith, I think you were going to bring like a, I don't know, some kind of effigy of me that you guys can bring me to the meetup. I don't know. But if you guys are going to the meetup with Joyful Miles from Nuz Runs and Kimberly, say hi to them for me and tell them I wish I was there. Heatherhead. I want to be on the finish line, like I want to stand at the finish line with a Heatherhead. Anyway, so say hi to them. Yes, Meredith. Seriously, like just grab some kind of screenshot of me, and I don't care which one, but I know that group's gonna love it. So seriously, that would be so awesome. Anyway, you guys, if you're headed to Princess, good luck. Have a great time. Otherwise, if you guys are training for something else, good luck with your training. Enjoy your time. I will see you in a couple of days. I'm going to do a weekend update next week, or this weekend. And then Tuesday, still struggling with what I'm going to do for Tuesday, which is why I need your ideas. Okay, guys. Signing off now. Have a great day. Travel safely if you're traveling. And I will see you next time. Go find your awesome. Happy running. Bye, guys.